Hello again, YouTube. It's Skylar. Welcome back to my face. It's been quite a while since the last time that I made a video, and that's due in part because I had my surgery last month, my orchiectomy, and I was recovering from that, so I didn't exactly feel like making a whole lot of videos until I made a full recovery, which I have. And I'm here today to go over my review of how things went and my 15-month estrogen update as well, because I'm a little behind on that as well. So last month, about 4 weeks ago, I had my orchiectomy, which is for male to female transgender people, is where they remove the testicles basically, and that stops all testosterone production in the body, which is really good for two reasons. Because one, I had to take spironolactone, which is what blocks testosterone, but it doesn't get rid of all the testosterone. There's still a lot of testosterone in there, and having the surgery done gets rid of basically all testosterone production. And honestly, I have never felt happier in my entire life. This was literally the best decision I've ever made. I am so much happier. Like, now granted, I was in quite a lot of pain for the first few weeks because, I mean, it's invasive surgery, so, there was a lot of recovering that had to be done there, spent a lot of the time just laying down on the couch watching TV, basically. But it's so important. It's a life changer. I mean, my whole perspective on life is so much more positive now. I mean, and I'm actually really lucky too, because the insurance was not going to pay for it, and luckily my therapist, who is such an amazing person, forwarded over an email to the insurance basically explaining why this procedure was necessary. And about 2 hours after that, I got a call from the hospital saying that they decided to cover it. So that was amazing, because I don't think I would have been able to afford it out of pocket if the insurance wasn't going to cover it. So that was one of the best days of my life, was hearing that. Now, as far as changes go, post-op, they take a little bit longer to notice than typical HRT. I just had my follow-up appointment last week, and it takes about 3 or 4 months for all of the testosterone to finally get out of your system. But after that, that's when you really start noticing the effects, and the estrogen can really do its thing more when it's not having to compete with testosterone, because having a lot of testosterone and having a lot of estrogen, it's just like they're fighting each other. And so this will definitely also speed up my HRT, my estrogen levels. I still take the same milligram, but yeah, I've been on cloud nine since the day of my surgery. Like, I literally have never felt so happy. Every day when I wake up feels like a new beginning, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so happy, and it really is important, these surgeries. I don't think people can fully understand how bad dysphoria can be, but this was like, if I had to list the things that I was dysphoric about, this was the number one thing. This was the original thing that gave me dysphoria when I was a little kid. And that's what led up to me realizing that I'm transgender, was because of that. And so getting this done was literally the biggest weight off my shoulders. And I feel like the rest of my transition is going to be so much easier now, because that tremendous burden has been lifted, and I no longer have to think about it, and I can just move on with my life. Sorry, it's just really emotional because, you know, when you know you've needed something for like 20 years and then you finally get it, it's just like such a relief because you spend your whole life people not believing you, and then, you know, when it finally happens, you finally say how much happier you really are. But without getting too emotional, sorry, let me move on to my update for my HRT. So I have been on HRT now for 15 full months, and the last time that I made an update was at 13 months. So this is about 2 months difference. So I have a better gauge of things from the previous video that I made till now. And I have noticed a lot of changes. Obviously, the breast development, I thought it was slowing down, but it actually is still going. I mean, it's more incremental now. It's not as noticeable, but you know, from 2 months ago, I can tell there's definitely an increase in the volume of it, the tissue, as well as my skin has become far more softer. I didn't think that my skin could become more softer, but it can, as well as my muscles becoming softer, way softer, because I remember prior to transitioning, my muscles were pretty, I mean, I wasn't a bodybuilder or anything. I, you know, was very skinny, but my muscles, they were very tight. They were very dense. You know, there was a lot of definition to them. And, you know, even with the way that it is now, like it's all smooth. All the muscles are like, there was a big ridge right here where you could see if I flexed, and, you know, even flexing now, like there's nothing. It's all smoothed out, and, you know, the muscles themselves feel like more relaxed, and I just feel wonderful. I mean, you know, it's as hard as transitioning is, I don't think there's any other experience that can compare to the journey of going through transition and overcoming obstacles like that, because I really think it's one of those unique experiences that only trans people can understand. And I feel like it's made me a better person, you know, having to overcome adversity in that way, as well as self-discovery and compassion for myself as well as others. And, you know, this goes back to what I said in a previous video about emotional intelligence, because, I mean, everyone has emotional intelligence, but women in particular, I don't know if it's specifically the estrogen, it probably is, but the neural workings of the female brain, they adapt typically, not specifically, but on average, I'm not making specifics, I'm making broad generalizations, typically on average have higher emotional intelligence. And that's something that one of the biggest psychological changes that I've noticed since I started my transition is this deepening and widening of my emotional intelligence and ability to understand the emotions of myself as well as other people, as well as being able to regulate my emotions in a more appropriate way than I did before. Like, I don't get mad anymore. I honestly, this sounds like, you know, like wishful thinking, but I do not get angry anymore at all. I mean, naturally I'll get upset if, you know, something frustrating happens, but it's not angry. I'm not angry at anything anymore. I'm just happy. I just feel relaxed and normal and at peace. And I can go about my day, you know, in a more pragmatic way now, because I have this foundation of emotional understanding and a sense of self that I can identify with. I don't have to project that onto anything else anymore. I don't have to internalize it. I can just be me, you know? And I mean, I still have a long way to go with my transition. I still have, you know, my augmentation, my FFS, my SRS, you know, but like this was the turning point in my transition. This really was one of the most important things that I think I'll ever experience in my life, because it was it was closing the chapter that had lingered for so long, that had caused so much misery in my life, that's now finally gone, and I can move on. And it's just, you know, it's hard to explain when you're happy. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like maybe because I had gone so long without experiencing true happiness that I didn't know what it was, but now I definitely do. It's a sense of peace. It's a sense of belonging. It's a sense of self, and that everything is fine. And no matter what comes your way, you'll make it. You'll make through it because you're you, and nobody can stop you, and you don't have to lie to yourself. You don't have to lie to anybody else anymore. And that's just such a wonderful feeling. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so grateful to be alive, and I'm very proud of who I am and where I've come from, and I am proud that I am transgender. And with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.